Well, hey everybody. Hey Enlightened Woman Tribe, Enlightened Woman Sisterhood. Welcome to Mondays in the Meditation Room with Dr. K. Um, Let me remind you to put on your notifications so that you'll know when I'm going live on Mondays. Because lately I've been just having to go with the flow of my schedule for Mondays. Ever since I've really been working on making sure I have a margin in my day to make sure I can prioritize my self-care on Mondays and not doing it consistently at 9. I've been doing it anywhere between 7 and 8:30 on Mondays. And so today I'm a little early on 7, at 7, or a little after 7. But welcome to Mondays in the Meditation Room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. This is all things empowerment and enlightenment for Black women in midlife. And so, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Sister Bernstein, welcome. Glad you all can join. Some of you can join live right now. Some of you will catch it on the replay. I've heard from some of you saying, wait, what time are you on? And I'm really kind of going with the flow and just trying to find the best time to jump on live. And the good thing is it's still here, so that at your leisure, at your right time, you get to watch the replay. And I believe whenever you watch the replay, it will be the right time for you. I've been really trying to catch up on some work and some personal development today. Still got on my workout gear today. And so I wanted to make sure I didn't miss Monday. Hey, cousin. Because next Monday, I may not be on at all. And definitely the next Monday after that, I will not be on at all. So excited on my journey to 60. I'm counting down, y'all. Tomorrow it'll be a week away from my birthday. May 24th is a major milestone birthday for me. I am turning 60 and I am so very excited about it. And not just celebrating on that day, but the rest of the year. I am going to celebrate, have some fun, do some wonderful things. The Spirit literally has me on self prioritization journey. As you know, I absolutely love celebrating birthdays big, and I had planned to sponsor something under Enlightened Woman. And so big all white brunch and all that good stuff. And then, of course, start planning for my Serenity Experience, Well, Worthy, and Wealthy 2022. And the Spirit clearly said, you will not do any of that this year. This is the year that you focus on you. And so I kicking and screaming and finally at peace with that. So I want to make sure that I honor that and absolutely stay intentional about doing something different, about having different experiences, about having fun the rest of this year. I have some stuff written down on my list that I want to try and do, some things that I've mentioned to you guys in the meditation room before that I want to try. But absolutely want to include my tribe because I've been reading some amazing books, been reading some amazing articles, and it just affirmed and confirmed the reason why um, Enlightened Woman exists, to really create that safe and sacred space for women in midlife, women experience perimenopause, women walking through menopause in this season, to provide information, resources, support, and just fun, right? So, yay, yay, and yay. Bernstein says, I just finished um, registering for our Ebenezer Women's Season outdoor event. Yes, yes, yes. Great. I'm glad. So share with your friends and the notification came up that I was live. So y'all make sure you go ahead and sign up. Make sure you get those um, notifications. Yay. So just for a few moments tonight, I really want to talk about, first of all, I hope you're breathing and taking a moment to be intentional because Black women in this season, I've just been reading, I had to kind of step back from watching the news, but also kind of monitor, because I'm always researching to make sure I'm offering the best information for enlightened women, and just really reading some articles recently about the disparity in healthcare, especially for Black women. And with all of the information that they're talking about for um, maternal morbidity rates and how high it is for Black women, and that's especially of a concern for me as my middle daughter is pregnant now, entering into her final trimester. She has had excellent experiences prior to that. My soror is her OBGYN, and her partner is phenomenal. And so they are doing a phenomenal job, but that doesn't prevent me from having concern. And I do believe that they are going to take exceptional care of her, but that's not the story for everyone. And especially for Black women in midlife, when we are going through so much in our bodies physically, and we go to the doctor, and if you are um, being seen by a physician. And get this, y'all, most physicians are not taught anything about women's bodies in midlife and in particular perimenopause and menopause. There is not a lot of education going on. They don't train on it, they don't talk about it, they're not taught it. So a lot of times when we go to the doctors, we're not sure what's going on, and we're having all of these different symptoms happening between brain fog and insomnia, skin dryness, hair thinning, weight gain, pain in our bodies, heart palpitations. Y'all, come on, you name it. If I don't name it for you, name it in the chat. We go. And sometimes this overall general malaise, um, fatigue, right? All of those things begin to happen all at once. Brain fog, forgetfulness, feeling like, we might be dealing with what? Onset of early Alzheimer's, because we like are forgetting stuff. I mean, I can forget what I'm saying mid-sentence. All of that stuff can be unsettling and frightening. And then you go to a doctor for a checkup and you're telling them those symptoms, and they're looking at you, and they'll take a test and they're like, you fine, you all right. And in your mind and your heart that you are not all right. And they make you think you are crazy. Right? And we're laughing about it, but it's absolutely true. And not just for menopausal symptoms, but women in general. They can have recurring pain, they could have inflammation that's causing issues in their bodies, and they go to doctors that are dismissive, not intentional about care. They don't ask the right questions, they don't seek to go further to do any investigation. And sometimes it's literally life threatening. You could have blood clots, right? Some women get shortness of breath and all of those things, and they go and they just automatically say, oh, it's just stress. And it can be stress, because stress shows up in so many different ways, right? It could be, but it could be something serious, especially as we talk about our reproductive health, right? You have to make sure you get your mammograms. And if they telling you, I don't need you to come back for another 5 years, but you got a little lump, and they're like, oh yeah, come back 5 years from now. You're like, what? Yeah, no. You need another doctor, because sometimes they want to just wait and see, and sometimes that works, but sometimes It could be life threatening, right? This is the season for a lot of black women where their thyroid messes up, and sometimes they don't even think that it's thyroid, and you might need to have your hormones tested. And technically, you may need to have your hormones tested if you're dealing with serious perimenopausal symptoms, and it can go on for years, y'all, and we could be miserable, but we can find doctors and GYNs that specialize in menopause, perimenopause, right? And so do some research. And I'm gonna put some things in the chat tomorrow of resources of doctors who in the area who specialize in menopause. And if you don't know, then research it, because they have not been trained for that. And so we really need to find doctors that are sensitive, intentional, right, about this season of our lives, because we want and deserve the best care possible. You might even have to go to your doctor and say, I need a hormone panel done. I need to know what's going on with my estrogen so that you can then know how to treat it. There might be, even if we can't do HRT safely, which is hormonal replacement, um, and that most of it is not natural. And so even when we take that, it could cause breast cancer and other issues as well. But there are ways, natural ways to start dealing with those symptoms that we're dealing with, right? And so we need to be okay with finding our voice and speaking up and speaking out so that we can get the best care possible. You are your best advocate. But, many of us um, don't speak up and speak out for ourselves, especially when we're sitting on that table in that little flimsy paper gown, feeling a little bit too vulnerable and open and afraid. And it can be intimidating. But we have to be okay with changing doctors, with asking questions, even if you need to write them down so that you don't forget them, right? And prioritize yourself, because nobody's going to do it for us but us, right? And if you need therapy, if you need some talk therapy, is what they're calling it now, right? Don't be ashamed and afraid to do that, because midlife can be a very disequilibrium causing, disoriented season, right? Emotionally. And those mood swings, come on, because those hormones are like dropping, that estrogen is dropping, and your mind, your body, your spirit, your everything is like, everybody getting on your nerves. Doggone hot flashes make you want to throw stuff. I mean, it is a season that we have not been prepared for and don't talk about it. So I'm saying also, if you have not, I think I took my copy upstairs, but if you have not gotten the Enlightened Woman, right, reflections and inspiration for midlife, to rediscover the joy of being you in midlife and beyond, I encourage you to go to Amazon and look it up. That's my book. It is so um, helpful and empowering as a starting point to see yourself where you are right now. Things that recently changed. Doctors dealing with vertigo, told me could be long COVID symptoms or menopause. Just wait. Yeah, see? Nah, she said, nah, wrong answer. Switch apps. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Exactly, right? That you know your body, you know what you're feeling. I remember going to a doctor one time and literally just being in tears on the table, because I was like, something something is not right. I know it. And you just keep telling me that it's nothing. And so I had to change doctors as well. And so I want to encourage you, during this midlife season in your life, especially if you're 45. And for some women, it starts at 35, and you don't know what is going on. And if you have a doctor, whether it's female or male, if they have not been taught, done the research, or well versed in what happens to women's bodies, and I'm convinced that Black women go through it in a different way, then you need to find somebody who is. Yes. And begin to take care of your health, and to talk about, our reproductive health. So many persons in midlife have had hysterectomies, or you may um, still have your uterus. And so if you're still getting your cycles, your PMS, women have the gamut. Some it is just completely miserable and painful, heavy bleeding and the clotting, and some is very normal or very light. One of the things that I'm looking forward to implementing as a part of Enlightened Woman is really talking about our reproductive health, and that how we should be paying attention to it from the moment that menses is onset as for our young women. And as we go through the years, because there are so many things that we deal with endometriosis and fibroids, and things that we don't even know that exist that are happening. I just found out, what is it? PCOS, which is, um, Sonya, if you still on, please put it in. I forgot to put my notes on my table. Um, PCOS, which a lot of women, in particular Black women, deal with, um, that polycystic ovarian syndrome. Shoot, it took me a minute. Polycystic ovarian syndrome, that so many women have it, and they have symptoms, which could be hair growth on your face, or abnormal hair growth, weight gain that you can't really get off, um, challenging cycles, or infertility issues. And because it mimics so many other things, we don't often know what it is, right? And so the polycystic ovarian syndrome is something that a lot of Black women deal with, and they don't even know they're dealing with it until um, that fatigue and that weight gain, they can't figure out what it is, extra hair growth, or they start having fertility issues. And those are things that can be um, watched as you grow, so that you can mitigate it earlier rather than later. There are some Black women who are dealing with a syndrome of, where your ovaries don't produce eggs, very little or at all, but then women go through it for years, and sometimes are not even diagnosed until they're in their late 30s, 40s, 45, almost 50, when things could have been done prior to that. So we really have to, even as the world is going crazy, or I should say America is going crazy about this abortion issue, our reproductive health as Black women is important from the very moment we begin our period unto the cessation of it. And we need to manage those rites of passages going from those different times. We need to make sure we're knowledgeable, and that we are paying attention to our health up until we don't have to pay attention to menses anymore. And for some women, you need to know the years prior to the complete cessation of your period, which really means a full year, 12 months, where you're not having a period at all. Then you're in menopause, right? But the years leading up to that is perimenopause, when you have all of these symptoms and you're going through all of these changes. And that can last anywhere from 10 to 15 years. Right. And nobody's telling us that. And we're just like, what is wrong with me? For all of this time. Right. And so information and knowledge really is powerful. And guess what? For me, it has become liberating. One, that I know I'm not crazy, and two, that I'm not alone. Can you put it in the chat with me and say, boom, shakalaka? One, you are not crazy. Encourage your enlightened woman sisterhood today. Say you are not crazy and you are not alone, right? And so, one, what are we saying? Understand that you are your best advocate. Two, do not settle for mediocre medical care. Give yourself permission to change until you find somebody that will meet your needs, treat you with respect and care, and listen to you because you know your body best, right? Because then what happens? The second part is then we can work with them, partner with them. They're supposed to partner with us, not dictate to us our care. Of course, when you find somebody that's knowledgeable, we listen, but it's still a partnership because then you really want to, if you can, depending on your insurance, what your financial place is, if they are not an integrative doctor, then find an integrative doctor who will employ holistic things to help you walk through this season in your life. Meaning, they understand the importance of meditation, of diet, right? Of relaxation, of those other forms and modalities of healing and health that sometimes Western medicine doesn't do. The first thing they want to do, right, is give you some kind of medication. And there are seasons when medication is very important and you need to take it. So, like if you have diabetes or high blood pressure, any of those things, don't be just jumping off your medicine. It has to be a marriage, right? And the best thing you can do is find an integrative doctor or do both, right? Somebody who's going to introduce some other healing and stress relief modalities so that we're not always putting so many pharmaceuticals in our body, right? Doing the best that we can. So, that is where we are with menopause, y'all. It is a can I tell you there are millions of women entering into midlife and perimenopause and then menopause season right now. Every year, millions of women enter into this place. And the market and the medical community is really just now catching up. They want to always deal with the outward, our face. They want to try to make us try to stay young, right? Now, mind you, our skin is important, our skin care, our hair, and all of that. But it's not just about the beauty regimen. We have to make sure we're minding all of it, right? Most of the products, and there are companies now coming out with things that are supposed to help you with your hot flashes and your insomnia and vaginal dryness and all of all of those things. Then here's the thing, the fifth thing I want to say is don't let shame or embarrassment keep you from increasing your quality of life. You know, at this point, there should be no shame, right? As we're dealing with, vaginal dryness, if you're dealing with pain, um, with sexual intercourse, if your libido is low, those are other symptoms of perimenopause, right? And then even when you're menopause, right? The lining of your vulva and your vagina, all that begins to thin, it becomes painful. And so you have to not just give up and go with the diminished quality of life, right? There are products out there, suppositories, estrogen creams, but you have to work with your doctor with that, to increase the lubrication there. You definitely don't want to like forego your whole sexual self and sensual self because it's challenging. Ask some questions, find some doctors. Don't be ashamed and don't be afraid, because what I'm going to say it again, you are not crazy and you are not alone. There's stuff out there that can help you, it helps us with it, so that this can be the most exciting, adventurous time of you. But it can also be very challenging if health wise we're struggling. But we don't have to just accept that. We can do it. I know for the longest I didn't do, I was just, so overwhelmed by it all. I was like, "What is happening?" And I was laughing to myself. I remember watching episodes of Oprah Winfrey Show years and years ago, and these women were on there talking about. I don't know that they were talking about menopause. I can't remember, but they were talking about low libido and insomnia, and they was just. I was like, "What in the world?" And and then all of a sudden, when I start having this internal combustion, and I just want to start stripping and fan, I was like, "Oh my God, it's happening to me." Right? And as long as you live, it's going to happen to you. It may or may not be as severe for you as it is for others, but wherever you are on the spectrum, you're going to experience something. But I want to encourage you to what, y'all? Remember that you are not crazy, you're not alone. We talk about that in the book, right? Know that you are your best advocate, right? And find support and talk about it. Don't be afraid, right? And don't allow yourself to be intimidated by your physician. If you need to walk away and find somebody else, come on, scroll through and read Sister Dana's testimony. Find a doctor that will partner with you for your best health care, right? Especially when you feel like something is not right and you know it's not right and they're not responding to it or to you, right? Be mindful of your mental health during this time. If you are frustrated, mm, angry, you're because you're on edge, your hormones all over the place, you just mad at everybody, or you're dealing with regret and disappointment in what you did or did not do, or the choices you did or did not make early on that has you at a place where you're concerned about your future. Feel all those feels, but don't get stuck, because there's help out there. There's financial help, right? There's a bunch of Black women that are out there specializing in everything, in helping you talk through things, helping you get your money right. And I'm looking forward to offering those resources and bringing some professionals on to talk about our relationships. Whew, how we're dealing with caregiving, dealing with young adults, whatever it is, transitioning in careers. All of it is happening during this time of midlife, perimenopause, and menopause. And so, this is the time also to encourage each other. And finally, what was I saying? No shame. There's no need in us being embarrassed or ashamed about some of the other areas that we may be struggling in because of perimenopause. And I have to keep saying that, because even though we talk about menopause all the time, menopause literally is that season where um, for at least 12 months straight, you have not had a cycle. All the time leading up to that is perimenopause. And the reality is what? That it can last anywhere from 10 to 15 years as your body goes through the change. Remember, that's all it was called. That's all we knew. That's all we heard. But we weren't having conversations. I want to begin to shift that narrative, y'all, that we talk about it, that we're open, that we share it with generations coming before us, because we start with our young girls when they first start their cycle and make it normal to prioritize our reproductive health. And when we say reproductive health, we're not just talking about pregnancy or getting pregnant or having babies. We're talking about the care of our uterus, our vagina, our fallopian tubes, the vulva, all of that that belongs to part of that, or for women walking through that piece once they've had a hysterectomy, dealing with that emotionally, right? Or getting to that place. The reality is you might not want to have any more children, but you're getting to a place where you can't have it. But then you also have to mourn and grieve the loss of that, because that is then the transition of going from the season of being able to do that and then not, or dealing with infertility issues, and or dealing with perimenopause when you're absolutely in it, but you still want to have children. Know that if you're between 35 and 45 and you have not had children and you want to, entering into perimenopause is not a shut door. You just have to find the right um, GYN and fertility specialist to help make it happen, and then do the work to create the proper, atmosphere in your body to make, to work together for that to happen, right? And manage that season if it doesn't happen. It's so many places on the spectrum that we are as women, and we have to be kind to one another, caring and compassionate with one another, because we're each going through our own place, and we're in different places on that spectrum, and we have to guard our mouths, what we say to one another, because we don't know what another sister is going through on this midlife journey, right? And so we need to provide that safe place, champion for one another, encourage one another. And there are a lot of women who are in this space and are ready to have children and might not be married. We don't have no reason, we don't have any reason to judge them. If they decide that they are then going to become moms and they might not be married or partnered, they ain't my business. It's not yours either. What we do then is celebrate and honor their choices and encourage them, because we may not know what that's like. That's what it means to be a sisterhood, to make room for everybody's unique journey and decisions. But that means that all of us, whatever that choice is, need to do those things, what I was saying before, right? Realize you're not crazy and you're not alone. Probably number one should be get a copy of The Enlightened Woman. uh, Inspiration and reflections for your journey. Yes. Don't, so you can get it at Amazon, you can hit me up, right? And I can get it to you. You can purchase it, right? The Enlightened Woman. It was the first part of my journey to realizing and acknowledging and recognizing this midlife season and what it brings, the transition, the upheaval, whew, mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, spiritually, and that journey. And now I'm preparing to work on this, the second book, on the second half, and I'm excited about that as well. So what? Remember, I keep repeating it. You're not crazy. You're not alone. Remember that you are your best advocate. Don't lose your voice in your medical care. Speak up, speak out, write down your questions. Don't be afraid to ask. And if you're constantly ignored, it's absolutely okay to find a doctor that will partner with you, that will listen to you, that will respond to you, because you know your body best, right? So that's good. And then don't be afraid to marry the two. Pull on an integrative doctor as well, because they're is answers, there's hope, and there's support for us as we go through this. So I just wanted to jump on and really talk about taking care of ourselves during this season of perimenopause and menopause, right? And to have some fun with it as well as you can, to celebrate this season of coming into your own, of walking in the freedom and confidence that you gain, right? Being a grown ass woman. I absolutely just love that. So let me see. That's the other thing. I'm putting my glasses on because I see I don't want to miss it. Some of your comments. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, I go, ooh, y'all been talking. Yes, we do. And be right, right, right. And yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, and yes. All right. So I absolutely love y'all. Invite a sister to our sisterhood here, Enlightened Woman, and share some, maybe some books you're reading, share some articles you might be reading that you think would help us, some blogs. I have a whole list of stuff, and I just gotta make sure I manage my time so that I can prioritize my time with Enlightened Woman. So, because so many resources and information that I'm learning that I want to be able to share with you and have some fun while we do. I'm looking forward to bringing some more guests in as we move into June and July to the rest of the month. All right. I love y'all. Have an amazing evening. And then take the time. You might want to listen to the replay again and invite somebody else to watch it too with you and share and have that conversation. Let's normalize finding our voice and talking and sharing with each other during this amazing season of midlife. Thank y'all for joining me tonight in this time of Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. We just kind of talking, sharing each other's journeys and stories and encouraging one another and loving on each other. All right. So I think I'm going to see y'all next week, if not some more this week. But definitely the week after next, we will not have Mondays in the meditation room because I will still be celebrating my birthday after the 24th. And so on the final Monday, we definitely won't be on, but maybe on the 23rd. I might be on, although that's the eve of my birthday. I might start turning up early. So if y'all don't see me, y'all know. Just gonna say she ain't gonna be here. She turning up already for her birthday. And so I'm excited about that. And celebrate you, and don't relegate it to just one day. Yep. Make your life a celebration as you embrace the joy of being you. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Get some good rest and some good sleep, and uh, take care of yourself. All right. See y'all next time. Bye.